Hey, what's up guys? Murder of Birds here. Welcome back to the channel. And this is a very different video than what I typically do for Red vs. Blue here on the channel. Most of you guys know that I do Red vs. Blue reactions, catching up to RVB since I started last year. We are finishing up Season 6, the next video that I will have uploaded, which will be out in a couple hours after this video. This is mainly a discussion-based video, kind of expressing my thoughts and opinions of everything that I've went through in the last batch of episodes regarding Church being the Alpha AI, which is a major, it's such a revelating plot twist that I needed to dedicate an entire video to this, right? Because my initial plan for this video was going to be at the beginning of my Season 6 reaction finale. It was going to be like at the beginning where I do like all of my rambling and kind of organize my thoughts and everything. And it got to the point where I was speculating in my head and building up everything that I was going to talk about to the point where it became too much. I was like, I have too much to say on the matter, and it's going to kind of eclipse the reaction itself. So I was like, it's going to be made into its own dedicated video. So this is a video, my first Red vs. Blue discussion video, talking about not just the significance of Church, but the significance of what it means for Church to be the Alpha AI, what that means for the show as a revelation, because this is truly a revelation, right? No bullshit. Like, I'm being 100% serious. I was literally pacing back and forth in my room yesterday for a good 40 minutes, just thinking about so many things that this could mean for the show, what this can mean for the present, what it can mean for the future as I'm catching up, but more importantly, what it means for the past. So initially, my reactions are supposed to come out every Wednesday. The reason it's Thursday and it hasn't been out is because I've rewatched the entire Red vs. Blue series, the Blood Gulch Chronicles, as well as the mini-series leading up to where I last watched Season 6, Episode 13 to 16, because Church's revelation legitimately changes the show. Like, it doesn't change what happens, it changes your perception of the show. So when you watch it again, you're watching a completely different show. You're not paying attention to the jokes anymore. You're not paying attention to the funny dialogue. You're not paying attention to the shenanigans and the minor villain of Omega and, you know, O'Malley and their robot army. You're literally paying attention to every subtle detail, every context clue, every bit of foreshadowing that has been put in place by Rooster Teeth that leads up to, you are the Alpha AI, and here are all the reasons why. And as much as I absolutely love it, as much as I love to death Ruby, right? All of you guys probably know by now, Ruby is what got me into Rooster Teeth. Ruby is what has allowed me to be able to kind of go back to the origins of Rooster Teeth. Like, without Red vs. Blue, there would be no Ruby subsequently. And that's originally why I went back and I was like, I want to watch Red vs. Blue. I want to see what started Rooster Teeth. I want to see where this show goes, because a lot of people talk really highly of it. It's very near and dear to a lot of people. And so I decided to jump in. I will give credit where credit is due and say that this revelation, in my opinion, all right, from my personal perspective, watching Ruby since the day it started, there has not been anything in Ruby that has made me think as critically as Church being an AI. And I will give credit to Ruby in saying that Ruby still has a few years of catching up to do before it reaches the same apples to apples comparison as RVB. But I will also say that the Blood Gulch Chronicles doesn't really play a grand purpose in terms of story. Ruby's been telling a story since episode 1. Red vs. Blue stories kind of really coming together ever since Out of Mind with the, you know, with the freelancers and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm rambling already, which I'm glad this is its own dedicated video. So this is not going to be a formal kind of thing. I have notes on the side here on my notepad on my second monitor. And I really kind of just want to go down the list of my thought process for you guys. I want you guys to know where I am mentally, where I am in terms of understanding everything that has happened so far in the show, leading up to Church's big reveal that Church is the fucking Alpha. Church is the original AI that all of these other AI are going around being captured or being paired up with, you know, freelancers, super soldiers for the, you know, the director's Project Freelancer situation. And I understand we'll get explanations in the next episode. It's like, oh, why don't you just watch the next episode to find out what happens? I kind of need to express myself and express the current state that I'm in before we head forward. So first thing I'm going to do really quick is I kind of want to break down this whole discussion video into 3 separate sections, right? The first part, I want to kind of go through my interpretation and my level of understanding what Washington was explaining regarding what happened to Church. Also, really quick, I will be using the term church and alpha AI or just AI or just alpha interchangeably. I don't know necessarily, and I'm going to get into the weeds of the identification or the identity of church and the identity of the alpha AI. But for the sake of just keeping it one-track minded right now, for me, I will probably prefer saying church when I refer to the alpha AI, because at least right now, to me, church is the alpha AI is church. Therefore, the terminology of which one I use shouldn't really matter right now, unless I learn about something further in the show. So there's that. So the first thing I want to cover is my interpretation and understanding of how Washington explained what happened to church. I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page, and if there's anything that I'm messing up on, if there's anything that I'm misinterpreting, please let me know. Please absolutely let me know in the comment section. Also, for those of you who are wondering, this is actually the discussion that I'm going to have before I put it up on my channel, and I'm going to let this video sit for a few hours, and like probably within 5 to 7 hours later, you guys will have my reaction to the finale of season 6 of Red versus Blue. So there can be enough spacing between where you guys can actually engage in the comment section of this discussion and then see the aftermath of everything that happens if there's any extra information. So like I said, first thing I'm going to chat about is my interpretation and explanation of what happened to the alpha AI during the past events that led to the whole situation with the freelancers and the AI, you know, that are rambling, you know, and all over the place. The second thing that I want to cover is a lot of the context clues that I discovered, actually, that are really, really incredible, and like I said, really change the foundation of the show when you rewatch it after understanding and realizing the revelation that Church is the fucking alpha AI. I can't get over that. So the second thing are going to be a little bit of context clues and foreshadowing that were in place, kind of put as set pieces that make you go holy shit when you go back and rewatch it. And the last thing that I'll leave off in this video is a big one, and I doubt, like, you guys know the answers, right? You guys know all the answers. You guys are caught up and whatnot. I'm not. So my theory will either humor you or it'll give you something really interesting to look at, especially if it doesn't come true, to kind of see where my mindset is. Or maybe I'm onto something and you guys can kind of at least just, you know, be all giddy until I catch up to whatever it is. So the first thing, like I said, I want to get into my interpretation of what happened to the alpha AI leading up to the situation right now. So this is going to be this is going to be splicing AI for dummies. So I have this jar right here, and it has a few coins in it. It has mostly pennies and 1 nickel, and it's kind of gonna go through the process of visually representing what happened to Church. For those of you out there who might not know or might not understand it, as, you know, it was kind of hazy for me when I watched the reaction. Like I mentioned, oh, why doesn't Church remember, you know, being the alpha AI? And a lot of you guys inform me, and rewatching it, it's understandable. It's like, well, because Epsilon is his memory, and Epsilon is detached from Church. Therefore, the memories that were encapsulated before he detached are not a part of Church's conscious right now. So initially, this all happened over the Great War. The director of Project Freelancer wanted a way to end it. His solution to that was the Freelancer Project, which eventually, you know, began underway, where they somehow, it wasn't explained, I don't know if it'll ever be explained, hopefully it is, that they came in possession of the Alpha AI, the original artificial intelligence for their war, initially with the plans of copying it, you know, and distributing it to different freelancer super soldiers for, you know, the Great War. Turns out you can't copy an artificial intelligence, so the next best thing they decided to do was splice it, right? Keep it compartmentalized, all part of an origin, but taking bits and pieces that are different and suit different needs for different individuals. You know, like York and Delta, Tex and Omega, Washington and Epsilon, which that didn't really turn out really well, and then, you know, and so on and so forth. So the Alpha, so Church basically went through severe and extreme levels of experimentation and torture. And something that Washington mentioned was that it fragmented itself in order to save itself. And I've watched this a lot in not in TV shows, but I think more than anything anime. I'm really big into anime for those of you who don't know. But I've seen a lot of anime where if a very traumatic and very severely traumatizing experience happens to a character, one thing that'll happen, especially if it's psychological, like a psychological thriller or something, which those are my guilty pleasures of anime. Not guilty pleasures, those are my favorite genres, are psychological thriller. So what'll happen is, you know, when the mind breaks, when the mind can't handle a situation, it'll do everything that it can. It'll filter out any unnecessary thought process, any unnecessarily bodily functions in order to protect itself, you know, to save itself, to survive. That's what it all comes down to. And the mind will fabricate its own reality, or it'll fabricate its own type of, it'll fill in the blanks that really can't be explained other than reliving the traumatic event. So the person will have a different identity, or, you know, events that never happened will be fabricated in their mind as a way of coping with what actually happened. And I think that's what happened to Church. So once everything kind of buckled down with experimentation, torture, to the point where the alpha started fragmenting parts of its mind in order to suppress what's happening to it, this is where things kind of started happening. So I have all these coins, and like I said, all these coins represent the currently known forms of emotion and artificial intelligence that exist in the world that I know of right now based on the alpha AI. So we have one of these AI, which would be the logic of the alpha, or the logic of Church, that he spliced off in order to prevent himself from understanding that he was being tortured and he was being experimented on. It was a form of, you know, self-preservation and a way of kind of keeping his mind from ultimately breaking based on, if, you know, I guess in a way, by him doing this, ignorance is bliss. I guess, in a way you can say that. And this gave birth, logic eventually gave birth to Delta, which is one of my favorite AIs. The next one, Rage. It's kind of what's left in the negative aftermath of being experimented and tortured against your will. You know, all of this manifested into enragement, which eventually led to the birth of Omega, which was later given to Tex in a form that necessarily wasn't the best. And, you know, he's pretty funny on his own, especially with, you know, his funny one-liners, Oblivion, and all that kind of stuff. And this is also kind of reinforced by when Omega jumps into Church's mind, and Church is like, I feel exactly the same. It's because that is a part of you. So I love more than anything, like, that form of context and that form of foreshadowing just blew my mind. You guys watched the react, like, it fucking blew my mind. I was like, that's what, I didn't even bat an eye at that. I was like, oh, he's already an asshole, so I mean, Omega's just like another step higher. But no, like, that is a manifestation of all of the torment and anger and anguish that was a part of the alpha during those horrible testing experiments that gave birth to him in the first place. Segregated that part of his, you know, his emotion out, and they harvested it and turned it into an AI. Next up here, we have Deceit, which is Gamma, which I completely forgot. I thought Gamma was like a computer AI. I didn't know Gamma was, well, I guess initially I was confused by that because he was originally Gary, the computer. But it turns out, yeah, he was Reginald Wyoming's artificial intelligence, became that of Deceit, and I guess it's in a way he kind of like lies to people. You know, he lied to Church, he lied to, you know, everybody else that he came in contact with, you know, and, you know, that's that. I really don't have much to say about Gamma because he was mainly associated with Wyoming, not so much anybody else, and he was like his own little pseudo-villain. So there's that. I have a few other coins here. I have 3 other coins here, which represent 3 other AI, one of which we've never seen before, but they dropped the name Sigma. Sigma is responsible for the creativity aspect of emotions for Church, or the alpha AI, but we've never seen it before. This is the first time we've gotten the name drop. I don't know if we will see it in the future, but that's kind of just the representation. I don't really know what creativity how separating your creativity would help your situation with you, you know, surviving your torture and experimentation, unless you kind of get creative with how they're going about experimenting on you. So you know, creativity is another thing. And then these other 2 here are nameless because these are just references to to the fact that they mentioned a few episodes back. I think it was season 4 or I think it was actually, I don't know if it was season 5 or season 6, but they mentioned that Carolina actually had 2 artificial intelligences implanted in her. So, like I said, don't know if we'll see those. I'm pretty sure I know we'll see Carolina, because I spoke to Jen Brown at RTX last year, and she said she plays Carolina in season 9. So, really looking forward to seeing her. Hopefully, it explains those artificial intelligence. But the big one, of course, memory is the key. And by proxy, Epsilon is the key. And I decided to go with a little nickel here instead of just a penny, because memory is the key. Like, Epsilon is the key to everything. And when Washington was explaining Epsilon, it put into perspective so much shit. Why his AI kind of was going crazy in his own head, why he decided to separate himself with any other artificial intelligence, in fear of revealing that information that he knew. And essentially, the memory of Epsilon is the original memory of Church that experienced all of the traumatic, terrible, severe levels of torture, experimentation, basically everything that the directors did to him in order to get those AI, to the point where he had to either separate his sanity or his memory, and he chose to go with his memory in the form of Epsilon. And Epsilon was inoperable. Washington couldn't even get through with having him as an AI because he was slowly destroying his mind, to the point where they were like, yo, lot cheaper to store you away than destroy you, so we're just gonna do that. No one has to know about you. You hold secrets that could kind of ruin us if our unethical forms of experimentation ever got out. And now they found him, and the memories of Epsilon are the memories of the original Church that can shed light on everything. The freelancers, the director, Project Freelancer as a whole, this whole conspiracy that's happening that Washington's kind of been a lone gunman in trying to figure out, with, questioning South, and tracking down tracking down Maine, which is Meta and whatnot. So it's just really, really crazy how all of this kind of congregates around Church, the significance of Church being the alpha AI. And that's kind of my interpretation. I really hope that that's spot on with what is actually happening in the show. Another thing too, like I said, I mentioned, I asked myself a question during my reaction. I was like, why doesn't Church remember? Stupid me. I realized this after the fact, after rewatching and after just kind of pacing and, and questioning life itself with this show. You got logic. Okay, you got logic, you have deceit, you have anger, you have creativity, and you have these other, random assortment of AIs that we haven't seen yet. All of these qualities of emotion, the Church that we know, the team-killing fucktard that can't shoot to save his life, Church himself lacks all of these emotions. Church cannot think critically as Delta. He never gets angry. He gets agitated, he gets aggravated, but he never gets full-on rage mode where I want to kill somebody or I want to kill something. I doubt he has any form of creativity. And deceit, he does deceive a little bit. I guess he's just more of he's got a silver tongue more than anything. He's a prankster, I guess. He likes to just joke around a lot and be passive-aggressive, but I don't think deceit is the best thing that I would categorize his personality, at least not right now. And memory, of course. Memory is separated because memory is everything prior to the Church that we know now. The memory has to do with the alpha AI. So that's my understanding and my interpretation. Please let me know if I'm spot on or if there's some things that, I'm missing out on or stuff like that. But before I get into anything else, this is a severe question. And this is a question I asked to all of you guys. And this is a question that I do not want an answer to. I don't want an answer to this question because it might be answered. But if Church, like I said, interchangeable, if Church Alpha AI, if the Alpha AI was spliced of so many artificial intelligence, of everything that made up their original genetic self, right? Everything that made the Alpha AI was stripped from it. Who is Church? There's no coins in this jar. The coins in this jar represented the full alpha AI. So you take all those out, you create individual artificial intelligence for freelancers. Who is Church? And the reason why I asked that is because, like I said, when traumatic experiences, when severe moments and things like that happen, the mind will do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means fabricating, things that never happened. So one of three things is happening right now, or one of three things is happening in my head that is leading me to believe what is happening to the actual church. The church that doesn't remember his original alpha AI self, either A, fabricated the entire identity of this persona that he's clinging to because he has nothing else to live by. The mentality, or like whatever is left of the alpha AI's mind, fabricated the persona, the identity of church, and clung to it, and that is the church that we know now. It's a false persona of the alpha AI. So that's one. Two, it's the exact same thing, but an imprint based on the director. So I think maybe the director could have taken all the AI and be like, okay, we can't leave this empty husk. We need to keep tabs on it. We need to watch it. We need to make sure it can survive and, keep itself alive and not come under fire or, be captured by someone else. So let's imprint this false identity to it and give it that false identity to lead itself in the future. Or number three, and this is based on what Washington mentioned. Washington mentioned that towards the end of the experimentation, it had to choose its sanity or its memory. And it chose its memory to give up to become Epsilon. That would mean that its sanity is church. The sanity is what remained. So in a way, it's its own self-contained version of its sanity. In the form of this person, this identity that it's dubbed itself as church. So those are the only three things that I could think of in terms of what is this? What is the empty husk that has nothing left in it? Unless there are some aspects and persona and emotions of church that they just didn't need for their freelancer project. But I would figure if they can get as many as they can, they're damn straight going to get as many as they can. So that is kind of like the first batch of the discussion that I want to go through. Like I said, my interpretation, my understanding of what happened to church and, things that lead from there. So really quick, this is going to be really brief. The foreshadowing and the context clues and everything that led to people really understanding, this is actually, this is legit, church is the alpha and there are context clues to support it. So the first thing, and a lot of people mentioned it in the comments, Blood Gulch Outpost 1 is the name of the base for Red Base in Blood Gulch, right? So whenever Red Command called, Vic for, or called command in general for any assistance, Blood Gulch Outpost number 1. But then Blue Base, which houses the alpha AI that the higher ups are keeping tabs on, right? Their outpost is called Blood Gulch Outpost Alpha. My mind fucking blew up when I saw that. I was like, and you would never know. You would never be able to put two and two. You'd be like, why is one called Outpost 1 and not Outpost, and the other one's not Outpost 2? Why is the other one Outpost Alpha, right? And they barely touch on Alpha, like in Season 6. Like at the beginning, they briefly mention it, with, right after, I think it was right after the fight with the Meta and Sister, after, they destroyed her and they briefly chatted with Delta. They were they were talking about the alpha AI, briefly, super brief. And then you get this fucking plot, you get this nuke dropped on you. So, I think that's a great attention to detail. And other ones, like I said, the Omega moment with Omega jumping into Church's mind, and Church is like, I feel fine. It's because that's a part of you. But then this is another thing, and this was a little confusing. Washington mentions Church can jump into minds just like Omega can, right? Which leads me to believe that Church, I don't know if it's like the chicken and the egg. It's who inherited it from who? Did Church always have that ability, and when it got split off, Omega inherited it? Or did Omega have it? And I guess it would have to be that, because Omega is a byproduct of Church. So could that mean theoretically Church can tap into any of the qualities of the AI that are out there? Can he be super deductive and, logic based as Delta? Can he be as deceitful as Gary? Can he be as angry? No, I guess not. Well, no, that wouldn't work then, because those aren't qualities of, that's qualities of their personality. That's not abilities. I guess Omega has the ability to hop minds. So would he be able to tap into the abilities of other AI that are out there? Or is that just like an Omega and Alpha? Like, is that an Omega exclusive thing? Because Church can do what Omega can do. So does that mean Church can do what Delta does? Does that mean he can do what Gary does? That can mean he can do what Sigma does and every other AI out there? That was something that I questioned. So let me know about that in the comments if there's no spoilers attached to it. And the last big thing that I want to get into before my big 2-part theory discussion is Cappy. Butch Flowers, right? So Washington mentioned the higher-ups are doing everything they can to kind of keep tabs on Church to make sure he's isolated from anything that could kind of reel him back in as the alpha, right? They mentioned that the other AI will use their freelancers to track it down because they want to be whole. That's kind of what they're doing right now with the meta. So I guess Main is just hostile taken over by all of like the hive mind of the AI that are present right now, which I'm assuming there's going to be a major showdown with Church. If he combines back with Epsilon, gets his memories back, is able to deal with all of that stress and really come back to his true identity, it'll kind of be like alpha AI versus pseudo alpha AI, because these other AI that are combined with Main, they are the closest thing you're going to get to the original. They're all of the other AIs combined to make up the closest thing to the original than the original itself. So I'm really looking forward to, I don't know if I'll even look forward to it because there might be, you know, like terrible aftermath and stuff like that. Like, like this is where stakes get really severe, you know? And if Church is an AI, does that mean an AI can die? Right? Church, as far as we know, it's like, oh, Church can never die because he's a ghost. Like, no, he's not a ghost. He's an AI. So does that mean he's safe, or are there still ramifications for, you know, putting yourself in danger? So, so there's that. But getting back to Butch Flowers. So, the higher ups decided to put Church away, like on a freaking desolate, you know, area, you know, a backwater canyon that nobody visits, based on Washington's words. Does that mean they also implanted Church as a private under a captain in the hopes that he would never rise through the ranks, so that way he would never become leader, so that way things would never transpire to where he is now? Cappy ends up dying. I doubt they foresaw that, and that in turn, like I said, you read into every little detail. Like when I was like, Cappy died. If Cappy died, does that mean Cappy was in on it? Or does that mean he was put in there as like a placeholder to be like, okay, you are in command of the alpha. You don't know that's the alpha. He doesn't know that he's the alpha, but because you're his higher up, you'll always be able to rein him in. You'll always be able to keep watch on him, keep tabs on him. We don't have to worry about him anymore, and we can just leave him in this backwater place and do whatever the hell we want. Then he dies. Church becomes the leader. You have your alpha AI who doesn't know he's an alpha AI going off doing all of this crazy shit, putting itself at so much risk. Or even to the point where now, like, Washington and him are in cahoots, and not cahoots, but they're working together. And this could be all against what the director originally intended. So, I was also wondering briefly if Butch Flowers was in any way like a scapegoat to the grand order of the higher-ups when it came to putting Church where they put him, under command of somebody else. Okay, I want to take a little break right here because this next mention here is a little bit severe. And it's severe because this is kind of like, it's very early for me to kind of speculate at this level. And like I said, you guys already know the answers. Please, for the love of God, I want to read your comments. I really, genuinely, honestly want to read your comments. I do not want you guys spoiling me on what I'm about to say. Because what I'm about to say could be true. Parts of it could be true. None of it could be true. But at the end of the day, I want to see where my thoughts and theories and speculations go for the show. I'd love for you guys to just at least express your excitement based on my theories. But I don't want you guys to straight out confirm or deny anything that I'm going to talk about. Because like I said, I'm catching up. You guys already know the gist. You guys know the 411. You guys know the story and everything else that falls in line with the show. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is Tex. Two characters, actually. Tex and Caboose. We'll get to Caboose in a second. I want to talk about Tex right now. Rewatching the Blood Gulch Chronicles, like I said, it's a completely different show. You are looking at everything that is interacting with Church. You are breaking it down. You're understanding, okay, why is this happening? Why is this character getting close with this character? Because he's the alpha. There's a super deep level of significance with Church that wasn't there before. Because it was always there, but our perception, we were wearing a different set of lens. No pun intended. But yeah, so Tex. She is a ghost too. She can also become a ghost. She can also take over bodies like Church can. And the most logical explanation that I can come up with is that she is also an artificial intelligence. There's no other way around it. And the reason why I say this is because she too closely correlates with Church, with his situation, and everything that's happening to him. The only thing that I will say that's a little odd about that is if she's also an AI. Actually, no, wait, well, yeah, because, okay, so here's an addition to my theory added on to that. I think she's the next level to Church. What I mean by that is, like, when you're splicing, when they were originally splicing Church, I would assume, right? I would assume that the first splice that they did was the closest thing to the original that they could get, a la beta. So you have alpha, beta, gamma, etc., etc., etc. I would assume that beta would be the closest thing to the original. And like I said, Church is a ghost. Tex is a ghost. Church can take over people's bodies. Tex can take over people's bodies. Well, I don't know if she can take over bodies, but she could take over like the robot, just kind of like Church did. But the only difference to that is if she's a byproduct of Church, why was she affected by Omega if both of them, in truth, I guess, or both AIs? Okay, now I'm confusing myself. All right. I don't know if she is a byproduct of Church or if she's just another AI, right? A separate other AI, because you have Alpha. But then if she's beta, then wouldn't that mean she's a product of the original? I don't fucking know. That's confusing. I do think maybe she's either a product of Church and is the closest thing to him, or she's a completely different AI, the second in line with him. Like, it's like a series, it's like a lineup. Like, he's the original artificial intelligence, and there are other artificial intelligence, you just can't copy them. So she's a completely different one, but they're both artificial intelligence. Jeez, that's really hard to put into words. And it's confusing too, because it's all theory based. So that's the closest thing that I can come up with. She's either a product of Church, or she's a completely separate AI that just has the same, that's in the same bracket as Church. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, Caboose. I noticed something rather odd about Caboose after knowing that Church is an AI and realizing that the higher-ups kind of dictate what happens in Church's day-to-day goings because of how significant he is. Caboose is always around Church. Caboose is always talking about Church. Caboose is very infatuated with him, or very close to him in a regard. He's always shooting him, killing him, talking about him, whatever. Considers him his best friend forever, his BFF, right? A part of me really believes that prior to the shootout going on in his head, which caused him to become, like, really dumb, you know, Michael J. Caboose, because Caboose wasn't stupid at all in the first season. Like, up until the shootout in his head with Caboose, with Omega, Tex, and Church, he was, like, legitimately cool. Like, he was just like every other character, a very, like, rational, like, just a very competent soldier. And I'm wondering if the higher-ups sent Caboose in to keep a lookout for Church. Almost like a pseudo freelancer, but then shit went down, and it kind of derailed Caboose to the lovable idiot that he is now. That's the only other thing I can that's like it's too much of a coincidence that Church is a very significant, important figure point in this show now, and the revelation changes the whole show. And when you rewatch the show, you can't help, at least I can't help but think, like, Caboose, Church is an alpha. and you're very close to church. So does that give you a level of significance prior to you coming into this whole Blood Gulch Canyon as a recruit, as a, as a private? Because everything's done by command. Command sent those guys. Command sent Donut. Command sent Caboose. Caboose is very close to church. I can't shake off that there's something a little bit more significant to Caboose now based on that, right? But other than that, that's kind of like where my mind is at right now. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, this is the first time that I've ever really done, and it wasn't really a discussion. It was really me rambling for what, 35 minutes? Yeah, like almost 40 minutes of me just rambling and kind of going through the mindset of like how, like, this is how big this revelation was. It was big to the point where I had 40 minutes of shit that I wanted to talk about. My interpretation of everything, my, going back and rewatching and picking up a lot of the context clues, and then kind of formulating my own kind of theory crafting bits with Tex, with Caboose, and the significance of Church, because Church is the alpha, he's the original. And if he gets his memories back, that's the closest. Memory matters more than anything. And there was this really awesome video that I watched with Troy Baker, who was doing his voice acting iteration of the Joker. And it was during a monologue where he was talking about, like, memories can be vile. And, to deny memory is to deny reason. It's to deny, like, reality itself. And if you don't have that, you're basically nothing. And again, that kind of clings back to, like, if he has no memories, is the mindset of the alpha clinging to Church because that's the only thing it has left. But yeah, like, memory is the key. Like, memory is everything. Like, if we don't have memories, you could basically say shit doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So memory is the key. Epsilon is the key. If Church gets his original memories back, the only thing I hope is that he doesn't become a completely different person. I love Church for Church. I don't like Church for being an AI. I don't know what he's like. I don't know what is going to become of this whole ordeal because, like I said, you have Church, but then you also have these other artificial intelligence that are all forming together, which I guess maybe my theory could still happen. I formulated a theory that all of the AI are coming together to become the alpha, but they'll never be the true alpha. So I'm wondering if it'll eventually be a showdown between the meta as a pseudo alpha AI versus Church, and Epsilon being the true alpha AI. Like, and that can't end well. That really couldn't. I can't picture any of that ending well for anybody. The AI, main, Church, anything. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my impressions. Those are my opinions, and that's a little kind of like a little chunk of my brain right now of what I've been kind of going through these last couple of days, trying to formulate and put everything together. But I hope you guys enjoy. Like I said, leave what you guys think about this whole video, my whole thought process, anything else like that in the comment section. Do not spoil. Please, I'm begging you. I do not want to ban people. I do not want my mods banning people. But if you spoil me, you're getting banned from the channel. I just really want to say that. This is solely a video for creative discussion for all of you guys who probably know more than I do, and me kind of going along, enjoying it, and kind of giving you guys my thoughts as I go. I really hope more revelations like this happen to where I can kind of just go on the fly of just talking about certain things that happen in the show that pertain to my interest or pertain to anything exciting that's worth talking about. So like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy. A couple hours from now will be the reaction to the season finale of season 6, so I hope you guys look forward to that. Tomorrow, or after this video, after the season 6 finale, we're going to be getting into the mini-series Relocated, and then following that will be season 7. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.